If you're a business owner making over $1 million a year, then the traditional financial planning model probably doing you a disservice. The entire industry is structurally built to ignore the most important part of your financial picture. I see this scenario every single week. Successful entrepreneur comes in, they've got a great business, they've got some real estate, they've got some investments, and a big tax bill. And when I look at what their current advisor's doing, they're just getting some cute little investment strategies in their retirement account. They don't know anything about their business. They don't look at their tax return. They don't even have an actual balance sheet for you. There's no full picture of financial planning. And because of that, probably leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax and wealth opportunities on the table. So in this video, I'm just going to walk you through exactly why the traditional financial planning model is probably failing you and walk you through an integrated framework that we've built will actually uncover all of the hidden gems. Let's get into it. Let's look at why you might be feeling a bit disjointed in your current state. I've built this illustration to help break out what we commonly see when a business owner schedules a fit call with us. So they have the financial stuff, they have the things. They've got real estate, they've got businesses, they've got cash, they have investment accounts, retirement accounts, tax returns, and estate planning. Okay, the whole 9 yards. They usually have some of that completed, some of that has work to be done. Everyone's different. They also have often a set of advisors already, probably someone doing some investment work for them. They've got a CPA or two. They've got an insurance agent or two. They got a banker, they've got an estate planning attorney, they've got a business attorney. So they got a lot of people giving them advice. Where things really start to break, we have found, is this web effect where everything starts to flow through you. And there's a pressure that starts to come into place where great advice might be given actually, but then it needs to flow through and get to everything it needs to get to, and everyone else on the team needs to be synergized with that. And it's just not happening because it's 100% on you. And your best time spent is running a successful business and spending time with your family. It's not getting all of this to work in synergy. So I'll give you a really simple, basic example that we just saw with a client. They make about $800,000 a year. They've got an investment advisor and they've got a CPA. And the investment advisor was having them put money, they were maxing out a Roth IRA every year. Well, that's a big no-no. They make too much money to fund a Roth IRA in a conventional fashion. CPA didn't know that was happening because the CPA doesn't know their balance sheet. And surprisingly, the advisors never asked what they make, let alone has ever seen their tax return. And so this really simple example is actually, unfortunately, a little bit of a mess this client has to now unwind and fix because it's all flowing through them. Well, they're too busy. They are expecting their advisors to have prevented something like that from even happening. But unfortunately, that's not how it works in the traditional financial planning model. So how do we get in front of that? Well, our secret sauce is overlaying the tax return and the balance sheet. If we can understand what you own and what you owe, that's your balance sheet, and overlay that with your tax return, we can see a lot of hidden gems. We're sitting there, we're asking the question, what is going where? Why is this flowing here? What missed opportunity is coming out of this? What if they did that? There's so many great questions and planning opportunities that come out of that exercise. And nearly every person that we have ever met with, they've never had that exercise done for them. So starting there, we can do some really fun stuff. Now, I want to show you an example of what an integrated state would look like in comparison to this current state where everything's on you. How can that be different? We still have the same financial things happening. We've tweaked how all this flows. We've tweaked who is on the advisor team. Step one is you have us. You have a wealth advisor who's doing this with you. It's now not just going to you. You have to decide everything. It's now this partnership where you want to execute something, you have an advocate there with you. That's the key to synergy. There has to be a wealth advisor doing this with you. Now, another key addition I want to point out, I've put on here is a tax attorney. That's another, I think, really unique opportunity when we want to execute the good stuff, the real good stuff. A tax attorney is critical because we have legal formation and tax advice that need to come together, and a tax attorney is who does that. that. I'll give you an example of a client that we're working on right now. Unfortunately, they were in the current state. They were in the state where everything's flowing through them. They had the top team at the largest bank in America, as their advisors. They had a partner at a large regional firm as their CPA. No one was talking to one another. Fortunately, they're going through a liquidity event. Unfortunately, they're going to get slapped with about a $7 million tax bill that could have been definitely a lot less, if not zero, with some thoughtful planning 5 and 10 years ago. But fast forward to today, we've been brought in. And so as a part of trying to at least get that $7 million number down, we've brought a tax attorney in to execute a specific real estate strategy. We need a partnership agreement put together that then allows for the maximization of a specific tax strategy around depreciation to help offset these gains. And it wasn't on that client to come up with that idea. Their CPA would have never given them that idea, and they wouldn't have known who to go to. They don't know tax attorneys. And so we brought them a tax attorney. We sat in that meeting with them, and we're helping them execute that specific strategy amongst many more to come. That's what an integrated state looks like, where you feel like someone's wealth advisor is doing that with you, and you're not alone on an island. Because we find that most clients, they're flying blind, and their advisors are flying blind in that previous state where everything's flowing through them, and they're left kind of in the middle sorting it out. So this is what we want it to look like, but how do we actually bring that to life? Now, if you're a business owner and you're tired of fragmented advice, you can book a fit call with our team in the link in the description below. And, we specialize in that overlaying tax return and the balance sheet and find those opportunities that the current advisors that you have are missing. Now, that's the video. So how do we bring this to life? Well, it all starts with your goals. Here's the reality. If we find that an integrated process, an integrated approach, if the goals aren't the compass, if the goals aren't the North Star, then we have no idea where we're going. And most people in their current state, their advisor team has no idea their goals. Sometimes the clients aren't even sure what their goals are. And I just don't know how you can do effective planning for you without a really clear, documented, and ongoing discussion of what your goals are. What does success look like for you? So once we have that North Star, we can start to really build out that path so we can work a plan. So we build out the path, and then we have to execute. Execution is the fork in the road. You're going to get results or not with good execution. So we've found that 3 meetings a year is a rhythm and cadence that really busy, successful business owners can actually stick to. So let's go into what that looks like. So we have a beginning of the year wealth strategy planning session where we're defining what does success look like for the year? What are your goals? Updating your balance sheet. We want to understand how are we going to win the year. Then summer comes around and we want to have a planning and priorities session. Work on whatever it is you want to work on. If it's your buy-sell agreement, if it's business opportunity, if it's a tax strategy or an estate planning need, whatever it is that you have prioritized, that gets worked on. Now, the real linchpin to a lot of this is our fall tax strategy meeting. It's very important that once we have 9 months of data for the year, we put that together and figure out what tax strategies need to be pulled off the shelf to be used for you and implemented before year end. You cannot do effective tax mitigation after January 1st for the last year. That's not how it works. People are all frustrated with their CPAs, but hoping those ideas come after January 1st. We've got to do it in that sweet spot, October, November. We know enough, but we still have enough time to implement. And so I'll give you an example of where that really shined for a client this last year. We had a really productive fall tax strategy meeting. We executed a couple strategies that had a 6-figure plus set of deductions. We let their CPA know in January, told the client, hey, send us your tax return before you sign it. So we get that tax return early April and we see none of that was put in there. Simple email over to the CPA with the client on, got it tweaked, boom, well executed. And I just get really nervous wondering how many people have implemented great tax strategies out there and they get missed because they don't have the integration and they don't have the cadence to bring these things to life and actually see them through. So what about the rest of the year? That's where access matters. So we are big fans of, we call year-round access. where we need to be connected throughout the year. You're calling us, we're calling you. That is so critical because you might have a real estate thing, a business thing, question. We might see that a tax law changed, or we want you to do something because the market's doing this. Whatever it is, we need to be able to communicate throughout the year outside of those 3 meetings. And with that predictable cadence plus year-round access, we've found that synergy can actually be brought to life. So we've talked about why traditional financial planning is probably failing you because everything's running through you. And we've talked about what an integrated financial planning framework and process looks like, where it's not just you, it's you plus a wealth advisor. Now, if you really want to see how these things work in practice and why your advisor is probably ignoring some of the most important financial pieces, then watch this next video. I'll break down some specific things that your advisor should be looking at but isn't. I'll see you there.